Welcome back to Callie's in the Kitchen. Today I am going to do a project where I have already poured black resin mixed with resin and black pigment paste. That gives me the richest dark black background. And I've used a round mold and a geode mold. This is going to be the fantasy film project. And as you've seen videos, may have seen videos before, we use fantasy film to create this cool effect. Mine is going to be a little different as I've already done this design. I am using the fantasy film that I got online. It comes in packages of different colors, and it also comes with a dry clear glue. So what I'm going to try and attempt today is with my Pebeo liner is draw a pattern, wait for it to dry. I will shrink this into the design of crunched fantasy film, which you'll see shortly. Cut it up into little pieces and pour it in the empty spaces. Okay, so let's get going. Alrighty, so with my Pebeo liner, I am going to draw some lines, and I hope this, okay, good, it's coming out nicely now. It wasn't earlier because it's been a while. Now, this reminds me of a project that I did with my cousin Rohini from Australia. She's a really good artist in the sense that I can give her a picture and she can draw the image. And she drew a flower for me. I made a template out of it, put it on my resined mold, and used one of these Pebeo liners to draw the flower. It was really cool collaboration with my cousin. Okay, so what I'm doing is creating some spaces here that I will eventually, after this dries, I will place some cut up fantasy film. And the reason I'm doing this is just for a different look, so that it's not just all one piece, but there's a little divider. I should have planned this outline out a little bit more, but we'll see. It still may turn out. I should probably put one here. No, maybe I'll leave that. So moving on to this one, because if this turns out, I'll have a 2-for-1. Let's do this a little differently. And this Pebeo is, and I'm lining it onto my resin, my cured resin here. I don't do it very hard, and I'm not on the surface of the resin because there's enough of that gooey stuff coming out that you can feel where, how much to push and how much to draw on your piece. Just going to clean up some of the edge here. And then I'm going to wing, well, maybe not. I was going to wing some other idea patterns, but I think I'm just going to do this. So there we go. All right. So now I have to let that dry. So it could take a few hours. I could do it tomorrow. We'll see. But that's that project. And I usually like to put my molds on a board so that if I have to move it, it's really easy. I'm not disturbing my poured resin. So I'm going to move that aside. I'm going to bring in my handy dandy cutting board that I received as a gift, and this is the shape of Washington State. no, sorry, Oregon. She's from Oregon, and she gave me this as a gift. And then I have my heat gun. So the process for this fantasy film, they come in strips like this. And I'm going to cut a piece off, about yay big. You want some room because it's going to shrink when you use the heat gun on it. So I'm just going to get one of the blue and one of the pink one ready. And now it's going to be a little noisy, so feel free to mute, as I won't be talking while I'm heat gunning this fantasy film. And you can see the process. There are other videos too on this process, but this is mine. Okay, here we go. I put it on low first, and nothing happens. I raise it to high. I don't see some of it, something's happening. See all those kind of bubbles happening there? That's what you want. Gives you that texture. I'm going to go high, but then I'm going to raise my heat gun a little bit higher from the surface because I don't want it to burn. And I'm holding the corners down so it doesn't fly away. And the airflow coming from the heat gun. See how it's shrinking? Making cool. Whoopsie! Now when that happens, I quickly pull it. Sometimes you can catch it in time, sometimes not. I tend to pull it. That won't. So that part's kind of gone. I could still use it, but I may or may not. We'll see. That's just part of this process. This one I can because I have room to pull. Just pull it out. Just pull it back out. I love the different variations, or whatever you call it, of the patterns that the colors that this fantasy film creates. Pull that a bit more. Sometimes you're lucky and get really cool depressions. And then when you feel like it's not moving anymore, then that's pretty much it for that piece. Let's see if we get better results with this one. And I guess my hand is easier. Feel free to fast forward through all this process too, because you got to be patient and take your time. I'm kind of rushing because of the video, so that's why I'm getting these little bits. So I just got to slow down and just know that if you get bored, you can fast forward. See how that's pretty? Gives it a little design. Hand is getting hot there. This one's looking really pretty here. And here. The other thing you can do with this fantasy film is you can actually join. So I could take that blue one and join it here. But since I'm just cutting them into little sort of pieces, I'm not going to do that this time. I did for this one. I joined two different films together. Okay. I don't know why the center one isn't closing in. So, see how it went from flush like this to all this crinkly stuff, which is what you want. You want as much crinkle as possible. Maybe if I do it at an angle. I got some. So now, and I'm gonna do it with the blue one too, and then I'm gonna stop the video. Basically what you do is you just cut into strips. And then into really tiny, small pieces as you can. See, I'm just getting a few of these. Different sizes, you can do different shapes if you want. So I'm just going to continue doing this on this fantasy film and the blue one, and I'll show you the next step in a moment. Alrighty, so my Pebeo liner has dried up. It's you can touch it, it won't bend. I have cut up the fantasy film into these little chunks. Now I am going to do one small section, and I'm going to use the glue that came with the fantasy film. I'm going to brush it on. And I hope this works, because this is my first time trying this glue stuff. Because usually what I do is let my resin thicken, the black resin that I have, I let it thicken. And then I place the fantasy film on top so that it kind of sticks onto the resin. And then I put a clear coat on the top to finish. So we shall see how this works and if it dries clear. I assume so, because it says so on the label. So as you saw, I put a little bit of the glue on, spread it out with a paintbrush. And now I am going to, I think I'll take my glove off. And then I'm going to just drop the cut up fantasy film into those sort of what I call cavities. Whoopsie. There might be a better way. If so, let me know on the comments. Boy, these fantasy films are very sensitive. So I'll just put a few. And I did mix the blue and pink together to sort of have a combo. Hopefully it's like glitter, that whatever you put stays on, the glued part, and then whatever you don't want, just, you pour it out. That's my other tool. So as you can tell, this is quite time consuming. So off camera, I will repeat this process for all the other spaces. And I'll experiment and see if this first one works, how well it works. And I'm trying to push it down, the fantasy film, because I'm going to be putting a clear coat on the top. So in fact, I might use my little silicone spatula to flatten it as much as possible. so that I'm not wasting too much of your time, I will continue doing this, and when I have it all done, you will see. And I won't film the clear coat because that's really simple. You just mix resin and pour a clear coat over the entire piece. So let's hope this will turn out well. Alrighty, so you can see that I have filled our space with the fantasy film chopped up, and that clear glue worked. So now what I'm going to do is pour a layer of just clear resin. I used a 1-to-1. I'm going to torch the surface of my resin that I just stirred up. And I'm going to pour it first over the section. And what I want to do is make sure I have enough resin here because I'm doing another project with that Let's Resin 4-hour 1-to-1 ratio resin. So what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm going to need a little bit more. Hopefully I don't have to sort of dome the mold with resin, because I want to make sure it covers the surface, because it did the fantasy film. Oh, making a mess here. That happens with resin. It's a very messy, sticky form of art. You just have to go with it. Okay, so there's not going to be much of a reveal because you're seeing the finished product, but when this clear resin cures, I will demold. Actually, I'll demold with you. So stay tuned. Alrighty, it's demolding time. Now I know it's not going to be much of a surprise because you saw the fantasy film cut up and placed in its little sections, but I just thought I would like to just do a unmolding. Voila! Oh, isn't that fantasy film just incredible? I wish I had a better camera or better lighting, but I hope you can appreciate this, and I hope you learned a few tricks, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.